happening, so they don't miss them. Most of the people are locked down, working from home. They work more of their office work. They very rarely see MMA mail. I'll take a minute to just tell them some important program which is happening tomorrow and next few days. Is it okay, Ravi? At the time, Ravi will join us.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to our MMA's annual general body meeting today. And before all the dignitaries are already logged in, our president MMA will also be joining us soon. Let me briefly tell you what's happening next 2 days in MMA so that you don't miss them by any chance. Tomorrow we have another interesting event, reinventing yourself, starting in your 50s for productive post-formal retirement life. Because the retirement starts at 50, because when you plan your retirement 50, you really plan your future. Not only that, and there's so much of talent available with retirees. We really want to know how this entire talent of which got acquired over a period of 50 years can be fruitfully utilized for the society. We got 3 outstanding speakers who will be talking to us. Our own Mr. Balraman, former Managing Director of Pans Limited. Lakshmi Narayan Pandit is a former Managing Director of HHL Limited. And Nandu Nandakishore is a guest lecturer at London Business School and former Head of Asia, Africa, Oceania, Nestle, Switzerland. This is going to be happening tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. This is a Pons veteran lecture, Fragrance of Business. This is happening tomorrow evening. I also want to tell you again, a great speaker, Anand Kripalu. You all know Anand Kripalu is the MD CEO of Diageo. He's going to be talking to us on the Saturday, the 18th at 6 p.m. This is again Pons veteran series, Fragrance of Business lecture. This is happening on the 18th at 6 p.m. He's going to be talking to us on my leadership journey and key lessons from Pons to leading 3 kinds of different businesses. And now he's getting one of the largest manufacturer of liquor in the world. Then on the 25th, again, we have an outstanding speaker. Satyanarayana Ramamurthy is a partner at Infrastructure of Healthcare from Singapore. He's going to be talking to us on leadership lessons from working in partnership environment. The last one for this month is on the 31st. Shailesh Arbakti is be talking on brand value management series. And he's going to be talking on governance. You know, Shailesh is one of the finest chartered accountants in India. This is just to tell you briefly what's going to be happening next few days. And we got another 2-3 minutes. We'll commence the program at 6 o'clock sharp.
Good evening, Captain. Srikanth here.
Good evening, Captain. Dr. Samad here.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Srikanth.
Good evening, Mr. Ravichandran.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Should I mute the video so that everything will be... Hi, Ram.
Hi.
Good evening, Mr. Ram. How are you?
Hi, Ravi. Good evening. How
Welcome.
are you?
Good to see you.
All the best on your AGM.
Yeah, thank you.
Group Captain
welcome.
Arun Bevur here. Group Captain Arun Bevur here.
Good evening, Mr. Arun. So nice to have you with us, sir. Welcome. Arun Bevur is one of past presidents of MMA.
Yes, welcome, sir.
It's a great pleasure to have you with us, sir. I think online helps us to bring all the presidents located all over the world. Actually. Thank you for joining this evening, sir.
Hi, Ram. Kavita here.
Hi, Kavita.
And all the very best.
Hello, sir.
Venkatramani is the president of MMA. Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar is also logged in. Is there. Ravi is already logged in.
Hello, Mr. Kirloskar.
Good evening, Group Captain Vijay. This is Kailash here.
Good evening, sir. Welcome. How are you, sir?
Hello, Group Captain Lax here.
Good evening. Welcome. Good to see you.
Good evening, Group Captain Anand here.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Anand. Welcome. Anand Bhushan is
Hello,
the lead
Captain
advocate.
Dr. Samad here.
Good evening, Captain Atesh here.
They're all our committee members. All of you committee members, welcome. Now it's the time to start the meeting. We will get on with the meeting. And Mr. Ram Venkatramani, can we go ahead with the meeting? Is it okay with you? It's 6 o'clock
Yes,
now.
sir, please. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MMA 64th online annual general meeting. All the members, invitees, logged in on Zoom have been muted. Share screen have been disabled due to security reasons. Please bear with me. And the inconvenience cost is regretted, and thank you for your understanding. The business session of the MMA AGM will commence immediately on conclusion of the open session, which will be around 7 p.m. as per the minute-to-minute program. All the members who are watching this program live on YouTube and the Facebook are requested to log in on the Zoom or MMA live webinar for the business session of the MMA meeting, since the proceedings of the MMA business session is available only on Zoom and MMA webcast. And appreciate your understanding, and this we have to do it because of due to various other reasons. Thank you. I have a pleasure to share with you that the dignitaries have already logged in, all of them will commence the program. Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Warm welcome to each one of you, all the viewers who are watching this program live on YouTube, Facebook, and our webcast. Distinguished chief guest for this evening was already logged in, who is available with us on live, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, President IMA, Chairman and Managing Director of Kirloskar Brothers Limited. I request Mr. Sanjay to come onto the screen, please. Then Mr. Venkatramani, President MMA and Managing Director of IP Rins Limited. Mr. Ravichandran Purushothaman, Senior Vice President MMA and President Danfoss Industries Limited. As usual, though we are virtual, we'll begin the event this evening with the invocation song to invoke the blessing of Lord Narayana. The song will be rendered by Ms. Padmaja, a versatile singer. May I request Ms. Padmaja to render the invocation, please. Ms. Padmaja, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Hari Hari Narayana, Hari Govinda Narayana, Hari Hari Narayana, Hari Govinda Narayana, Hari Pala Narayana, Hari Pala Narayana, Hari Hari Narayana, Rishikesha Narayana, Partisha Narayana, Rishikesha Narayana, Partisha Narayana, Hari Hari Narayana, Hari Govinda Narayana, Hari Gopala Narayana, Hari Hari Narayana, Hari Hari Narayana, Hari Hari Narayana.
Thank you, Padmaja, for the excellent rendition. Thank you for joining online and renting the invocation from your place of comfort. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
A. Venkatramani is the president of Madras Management Association and is the managing director of IP Rins Limited. May I request President MMA to deliver the welcome. Mr. Ram Venkatramani, please.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to deliver the welcome address this evening for MMA 64th Annual General Meeting. A warm welcome to all the dignitaries, to the invitees, distinguished past presidents, members of the Madras Management Association. Welcome to all of you. A special welcome to our distinguished chief guest, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, President IMA and Chairman and Managing Director, Kirloskar Brothers. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation to be with us this evening. All the members of MMA and our invitees look forward to your address, sir. As you're aware, MMA has always been in the forefront of promoting sound management knowledge, experience, and ideas in various management disciplines. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last year, some of the past presidents and of course our managing committee and the secretariat have been brainstorming on how MMA can continue to remain relevant in the years to come as part of our Vision 2025 exercise. This lockdown caused due to the COVID-19 pandemic has in a way forced the organization, forced MMA to make adjustments to adapt to the emerging scenario. And we've been forced to accelerate many of our digital offerings, which were part of the Vision 2025 exercise. I'm happy to acknowledge that MMA lost no time at all in making the right moves to transform itself digitally. Congratulations to Group Captain Vijay Kumar and his team for quickly being able to adapt to this changing environment and make offerings to our membership. Since March 20, MMA has taken a number of initiatives to organize online workshops, online courses, webinars, quizzes, guest talks, panel discussions of a very high order. And I think all of us are amazed at the speed at which we've been able to adapt. And if I'm not mistaken, the lockdown was implemented on March 23rd. And literally a week later, we've been able to start offering digital courses and programs for our members. We've also initiated our elections online. It's been a first for us. The MMA magazine, The Business Mandate, is now available in a technologically advanced, user-friendly digital mode. It's got embedded videos and a bunch of other technically advanced features. And later on, we will be requesting our chief guest, Mr. Kirloskar, to launch this state-of-the-art digital magazine. It would only be appropriate to also say that the online AGM that is being held this evening is a natural progression of the journey that MMA adopted just a few months ago. And I can claim with conviction that we are poised to take a long digital leap as this new normal is now here to stay. I'm glad that MMA has completed another year with flamboyance. The year 1920, like previous years, has been an eventful year with a broad spectrum of activities and new initiatives. I have no doubt that MMA would continue its endeavors to forge ahead in tune with emerging trends and requirements. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my appreciation for the Secretariat, ably led by Group Captain Vijay Kumar, who has been working tirelessly to keep the flag flying high despite the enormous constraints that we have faced over this last few months. I would also like to acknowledge the support that I've received from my Senior Vice President, Vice President, Honorary Treasurer, the Managing Committee, and of course, the past presidents. I would like to end by once again extending a warm welcome to our chief guest, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, members of MMA, the past presidents, my colleagues on the Managing Committee, and other guests. Of course, we also have a large number of viewers watching this event online, and a warm welcome to all of you again. Thank you all and wish you a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ram Venkatramani. Thank you also for your kind words. You are the inspiration for us to keep performing. In fact, I can confidently say you are the adrenaline which pumps us to really bring the best out of us. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some very pleasant job to do this evening. That is announcement of the MMA quiz competition is the first one. During the lockdown imposed from 25th of March 2020, besides number of online initiatives, MMA also organized a daily online quiz for the benefit of our members, and we are indeed delighted at the overwhelming response. The quiz was attended by over 60,000 participants during the last 2 months. Members of MMA always loved good challenge. Hence, we organized a great online quiz competition for the benefit of our members over a period of 10 days, spread over 5 weekends, which got completed the last Sunday. The quiz organized by MMA was a brilliant brain twister, which tested the knowledge of the participants to think and to test their mind. The online quiz was supported by the World of Titan Ananaga, Exquisite, Fast Track Teja Autospa, Westland, the advertising business, and Conradness Stifting, our partners for the last 4 years in the entrepreneurial program. And also my sincere thanks to Mr. Shivakumar and Mr. Chitra Shivakumar and Mr. Aravind for their unstinted support, which made this quiz a great success. May I have the AV, please? Thank you, and many congratulations to all the winners, in particular Mr. Viswanathan, who consistently performed with a high score of 98% and brilliant, and he is also a great man in investing. I think his stock market, he always makes money. So notwithstanding, you also make money in quiz. Very, very congratulations, sir. All the winners, your prize money with all the gift vouchers, what have been shown, will be ready. It will be couriered to your house. But will also be available at MMA. If you give a call, if you send somebody, it will be available. Because MMA is not functional, but it will be available with the security. So being the concern, it will be delivered to you as soon as possible. Once again, many congratulations to all the winners. Thank you so much. Let me also, I have another pleasant job to do this evening. That is release of the special issue of digital magazine of MMA Business Mandate. MMA comes out with an eagerly awaited news magazine, Business Mandate, which has the readership of over 70,000 who feature among the leading business groups of the South India and also made up of dynamic medium-scale companies as well as reputed professionals from all walks of industry. Other than MMA members, the Business Mandate is circulated to notable opinion makers, industry leaders, senior government officials, multinational group heads, management students, and a host of distinguished personalities. I'm indeed privileged to be associated with the Business Mandate as its editor for the last 13 years in a row. Charles Darwin said, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who survive, it is the most adaptable to change. MMA too adapted to the change situation with a number of unique online initiatives, including the state-of-the-art digital magazine Business Mandate. The digital magazine of MMA has a number of exciting features. Now, may I request you to please pay your attention to the screen to know more about the digital magazine. May I have the AV, please? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. That's the magazine which we are going to bring it to you. This magazine has already been sent by email. Please check your inbox. And for tonight, you can really go through the magazine, enjoy the evening. In case you don't feel like reading, not to worry. You can just click and watch the video of the magazine article which has been there. You've seen the features which we tried to improve it, and the war repeat which we improved yesterday morning, or in fact this morning, is we also got a photo page and where we capture the pictures of all the events which has been done over the last 2 months. I think we have done almost about 35 lectures over the last 2 months, live talks of different subjects related to COVID, related to Galwan, and number of other issues. All these talks have been captured in the form of picture, and you watch the picture and you would like to view them. You don't have to worry and go and log in, look at the live IBC, look at my YouTube, nothing. You just click on the thing, you'll watch the entire video at a click of the button. We also bring in so many features which you brought in because we want to make sure the reading pleasure of our each members is going to be outstanding and fantastic reading this magazine. Another good news we want to share with you is that this magazine will be available every month during the first week of each other month with as many articles as possible. I take this opportunity also to request the members, well-wishers, you have an interesting article, do send them. And also not only you send them, you record your audio about the article for 2 minutes, and your audio will be embedded and shared with a large number of your viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we are presenting it to you, Business Mandate, the new digital area and one of the best, outstanding, most expensive software. I'm also glad and very, very delighted to share with you, with the help of all my company members and president, this entire business mandate has been developed by us internally by MMA owned resources. No outsourcing done. And also I must thank or acknowledge the support of Mr. Peter Ramley and Pankaj Madan from Condonas Drifting, who have been partners for this initiative because we wanted to reach out to as many people as possible. Our target at the moment, we're reaching over 50, 70,000 people. I think in next 3 months, we want to reach at least 3 to 4 lakhs readers, and there's no end to looking back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I also thank the chief guest today for being present when we launch and the important milestone in the history of MMA. And especially as the president of MMA, you are there. It's a great inspiration for us this evening, sir. Thank you so much. Ms. Sanjay Kirloskar, our chief guest for this day, has also agreed to take few questions. And I request the participants to share their question addressed to Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar in the chat box. And also all the viewers watching this program live on YouTube and Facebook or live on our webcast, please, there's a number running on the screen. You send your question by WhatsApp or by a message to the number so that this question can be compiled and put to Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar for him to respond. May I now request the distinguished chief guest to deliver the keynote address. Before that, may I have AV on his profile, please. You send your question by WhatsApp or by a message to the number. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar. It is indeed my proud privilege to present to you Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, who is going to be delivering the keynote address on ethics in business. Over to you, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar. We are all eagerly looking forward to hearing you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, 10-5, sir.
Thank you. Mr. A. Venkatramaneni, President, Madras Management Association, Group Captain Vijay Kumar, Executive Director, distinguished past presidents, committee members, members of MMA, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation to be the chief guest at the MMA Awards function and AGM being held today. I feel truly privileged to address all of you as MMA is considered one of All India Management Association's best local management association. And there was really no way that Ms. Rekha Sethi would have allowed me to take a pass on this one. I had agreed to deliver this in person in Chennai, but things being the way they are, I am compelled to address you online. As was mentioned, your president asked me to speak on a subject of mine. Actually, he had written that the theme of the address could be managerial excellence or any other theme relevant to management. And this freedom to choose gave me absolute liberty. I decided to speak on ethics as I think this too forms part of managerial excellence. The MMA has been stuck in my mind since March 1981, when your association conferred its Business Leadership Award upon my grandfather, Mr. S.L. Kirloskar. Just before we started, a guest mentioned that everyone seems to be so formal. Those of you who remember him remember that he was always very formal and always wore a suit. And I think it's in his memory that for the first time since the pandemic has struck that I've worn a jacket and a tie. In any case, at that time, he told members that he was glad that the occasion presented him an opportunity to express his views on what he saw as problems of grave concern and on our economy, which was degenerating even after 3 decades of independence. Educated at MIT in the 1920s, and having grown up and started working in pre-independent India, he was a firm believer in free enterprise. During his speech that day to MMA, he proposed a 14-point program for successfully meeting the challenges of the 1980s, which included doing away with the Planning Commission. My grandfather was known for calling a spade a spade. And as you could well imagine, all hell then broke loose. There were responses in newspapers by Dr. D.T. Lakdawala, the then deputy chairman of the Planning Commission, as well as without going into those details, all I will say is that my grandfather was thrilled when Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh started the process of economic liberalization. At that time, he told us, his grandchildren, that he wished he was 60 years younger. He was close to 87 at that time. What I would also mention is that after the speech, the then government rejected every single license that the Kirloskar Group had applied for. And my grandfather, for a few years at least, was persona non grata in certain parts of the national capital. That is why I remember the MMA more than anything else. I would say that I'm blessed to have been born in a family like this, because we too could speak our minds very clearly to our elders. As I grew up, I also learned the lives that my forefathers had lived. Part of the family was intensely capitalist, but few people outside Maharashtra know that the company I now run also published 3 magazines from the 1920s. They were known to be extremely progressive for their times, and possibly would be considered that even today, with articles promoting education of the girl child, widow remarriage, and on the other hand, writing against blind superstition. Many people credit these magazines for modernizing Maharashtrian society. Returning from the US after getting my degree, like my grandfather, father, uncles, and siblings before me, I joined the family business. Like them, sweeping the factory shop floor was my first job after getting an American degree, followed by running almost every type of machine the company owned. As family members, we were expected to produce more than the norms set by the industrial engineering department of the company. More than anything else, I believe I got an education on what it feels like to be on the other side of the table. A few years later, again, like for all the other members of my family, I was given the responsibility to set up a project and soon ran into the Indian bureaucracy as the project needed approval from what was called the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Commission. That was when I learned that the Kirloskar Group, unlike a few others, had never opposed any project promoted by other industrial groups to enter the businesses that it was in. And that my grandfather always held that competition would make one better. This attitude actually made us ready to face global competition when India opened up in 1991. And our exports went up to about 28% of our revenues soon after liberalization, and helped us become a true MNC within 10 years. Step by step, I learned family traditions. My father passed away as I turned 30 years of age. One evening, a few years earlier, he had asked my brother and me a question. He mentioned that until then, our businesses had grown on the quality and reliability of our products and our all India marketing network. But times were changing, and there were expectations which clashed with family values. He asked both of us whether we should join the bandwagon to grow quickly, or should we be known as a group that stopped growing because we did not change our principles with the times. Since then, my father's query has always been at the back of my mind. As the company grew over time, many an opportunity was missed or not grabbed. And at the end, when things turned impossible, we gladly moved out from large business opportunities when we realized that other than good products and service, we could not deliver what was being demanded. After that, the company changed its profile as a business. And that part of business that just 10 years earlier had contributed to over 75% of our turnover now contributes around 4%. Yes, turnover stagnated, dipped with attendant hardships, and then rose again to levels of 10 years ago. But we are a stronger company as a result. And as the company continues to be number one in its business, I certainly have no regrets. Which brings me to the theme of today's talk. The COVID crisis has put attention back on business ethics. Gouging of medical supplies and food has tainted the good work done by many individuals and companies that have contributed so much to the healthcare effort. Unfortunately, ICU bed and ventilator allocation have also raised questions about the ethics of many hospitals around the country. Even the odd medical research firm has been found fudging data at a time when the world is desperate for answers to the pandemic. Quite often, we fail to realize that during a crisis, our behavior during a crisis can make or mar the public perception of individuals and businesses forever. Whenever it happens, a crisis like this exposes the faults and frauds of a business. A jolt to the system rattles skeletons in the cupboard, and dodgy deals and practices become hard to cover up. The last couple of decades have seen multiple booms and busts, and unfortunately, business scandals have become ever more frequent and bigger. In the last few years, India has seen a spate of corporate frauds involving poor business practices and bank loans. The unraveling of the Indian economy and the resulting pressure on banks to collect overdue loans has uncovered a lot more muck. Many icons and superstars of Indian business, including those given awards by respected institutions, have been disgraced. And some have ended up getting arrested in India and overseas, while some more have fled the country and are resisting to return. While they're there, dirty linen about their business practices and the enabling environment is being washed in public as foreign courts consider their applications. We live in an interconnected world with information available at one's fingertips. This was the case before, and we will still be interconnected, but possibly less globalized after COVID. But with the way technology has moved since COVID, one can safely assume that information will just reach faster. One only needs to Google an individual or a business to get more information and knowledge on that individual or business. Forget spreading like wildfire. Now it will go viral. Each and every one of these scandals have tarnished the reputation of Indian businesses around the world. Imagine meeting a new customer in a foreign land and hoping he or she isn't aware of our business practices back home. Going forward, how much respect will outsiders, including those of Indian descent, have for Indian business practices? If we desire to grow and be respected around the world, our businesses desperately need to re-establish our credentials for ethical behavior and practices. Forget what people will think when we go out of the country to do business or to invest. Think of what foreigners will need to consider when they want to come to India for business. As we all know, India needs trillions of dollars to build its infrastructure to compete in the modern world. All of us are aware that there is an urge on the part of Japanese and Western firms to move out of China so that all their eggs are not in one basket. And now we are concerned why people are not rushing in to invest in India and going to other countries around us. With such a reputation, what incentive do foreigners have to invest here in India, despite our attractive market and the opportunities that we can offer? People do understand the environment that they will have to operate in before they invest. When will we improve our environment and our governance? Trust, business ethics, rule of law are essential ingredients of a vibrant market. Long-term contracts involving huge sums of money cannot be accepted without the assurance of enforceability, and more importantly, the trust in the other party's character, business practices, and culture. A company's wealth depends on stakeholders' trust in the legality of its business, veracity of its accounts, reliability of its products, and the fairness of its dealings. Just imagine the number of people in India who've lost their life savings because of these scandals. Companies, on the other hand, that demonstrate high standards of ethics tend to have more stable businesses and deliver greater shareholder value over time. The point I would also like to make is that it is not just Indian business which is giving its country a bad name. There are frauds around the world. Japanese companies have been caught for giving false material quality assurance certificates. French companies for bribery. Imagine the reputation these companies and countries face. Leaving aside the fact, the world over, buyers would be wary of dealing with such companies. Wirecard, a German electronics payment multinational, has been caught fudging revenues for blue chip status. The result is that the reputation of the German financial sector and regulators has been tainted. The German government is axing existing financial regulators, and they would be replaced with new, more intrusive ones. And this has followed Dieselgate, where Volkswagen was caught fudging emission data and ended up giving German businesses a bad name, a reputation that had been built up by 2 generations of hardworking Germans after World War II. The only thing I can say, just like Indira Gandhi had famously remarked, is that about corruption, is that this too seems to be a global phenomenon. Corporate scandals do not affect the involved parties alone. They affect and tar everybody. And governments have to respond to the cries for doing something about it. The most famous case of a strict regulatory response to a business con is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in America that followed the Enron scandal. It substantially increased the scrutiny of accounting practices and the responsibility of boards for listed companies. The unintended consequence of this regulation was that companies began avoiding listing on the stock exchanges to save compliance efforts and costs. In India, the Satyam scandal was the equivalent of the Enron affair. It involved a company fabricating accounts and supporting documents. The fallout was that the New Companies Act in 2013 made auditors and independent directors liable for management's errors and omissions. SEBI too amended the listing conditions. Now auditors have to be changed every few years, and internal audits have been made more intrusive and more intense. While stricter regulation has largely improved corporate governance, it seems to have introduced a box-ticking approach to ethics. Regulations are an expensive substitute for ethics. And as the compliance burden grows, the focus shifts to avoiding getting caught rather than doing the right thing in the first place. Litigation is becoming the way to prove integrity by both governments and companies. Moreover, the fear of retrospective blame is also deterring business initiative and innovation. The public sector over here is a great example of regulation killing entrepreneurship. However, the responsibility of creating and maintaining a reputation for ethics is on management. It's easier to bear the cost of ethics than the cost of regulation, because as we can see, industries suffer when there is over-regulation. However, one's stand on ethics should not depend on where one sits. People with advantage expect integrity from others, but justify their own pragmatism. Many see ethics as trading, one rate for buying and another for selling. Another popular belief is one can only have as much ethics as one can afford. Many see winning at all costs as the only ethic. They argue that winning cleanses everything and public adulation is the true measure of ethics. But today it seems that quite a few people had been valued for what they seem to be and not for what they really were. And it's not that there was a shortage of regulations when our frauds came to light. To my mind, these company frauds have taken place thanks to an enabling environment with so-called independent directors turning a blind eye and the fear of taking a stance or a stand against wrongdoers. All company directors are meant to act as trustees, looking out for the best interest of the organization, not those of the chairman and MD, or for that matter, the promoters of the company. Often I'm reminded of what my father-in-law would say. He said, cemeteries are full of indispensable people. Because many times people stay quiet, not to lose perks or not to annoy people. Fortunately, in one case, there was a whistleblower who took a stand to expose the rot at the top. No number of rules and regulations can stop greed. Only each one of us, as an individual who understands and is true to his or her responsibilities, can. It requires special strength of character and conviction to adhere to business ethics, especially in the policy and regulation sensitive markets, where companies jostle for access to land and utilities, licenses, permissions, and for protection from inspection and taxation. practicing ethics can get very tough. Companies routinely face a choice between ingratiating themselves with powerful people or getting pushed to the periphery of the market. Executives from top to bottom are expected to bring revenues and the pressure to win business obstructs the desire to do the right thing. Therefore, leaders who are serious about building strong and long-lasting institutions and organizations must make ethics integral to business strategy. To my mind, a well-documented code of ethics must be adopted by organizations to ensure that our colleagues understand how to behave and what needs to be done in various situations they could encounter in the course of doing business. I've always marveled at the American system of justice, especially yesterday, when a majority of Supreme Court justices nominated by the current president's political party told President that no one, including him, was above the law. There, justice is dispensed quickly. If you remember the fraud that was Enron, once a case had been made in court, I think sentences were passed within 18 months. Despite being a friend of the then President George W. Bush, Kenneth Lay, the chairman of Enron, was found guilty of conspiracy and fraud. We've seen similar cases of financial conditions sustained by an institutionalized, systemic, and creatively planned accounting fraud in India. One wonders how long our system will take to decide if the case is before it, because justice delayed is justice denied, and lakhs of crores have been lost by individual citizens and banks. When justice is delayed, a fraud-enabling environment is created as individuals realize there's no one or nowhere to go to. Every year, I've never failed to be amused by a list made by a German NGO called Transparency International, the most corrupt countries in the world. Amused because while they do tell us which countries are corrupt, they never make a list of countries whose companies corrupt others. I have wondered many times whether the order would be reversed if they made that list. When one reads newspapers, one comes across cases of Americans catching Europeans doing naughty things around the world. I'm not saying the Americans are saints either. On another note, the COVID crisis has also highlighted environmental issues. Lockdowns have brought great relief to Mother Nature by shutting down human activities. Water quality have improved all over the planet, especially in the big cities. Carbon emissions have dropped, water quality has improved, and animals and birds have returned as humans are locked in. Clean air improved human health and reduced routine sickness. However, it seems the environment's brief recovery was celebrated only by those who could afford lockdowns. Lockdowns were not at all good for Mother Nature. In Brazil, the deforestation of the Amazon was accelerated while the world was focused on the pandemic. In Africa, poachers have had a free run as governments deploy their resources on enforcing lockdowns. Nevertheless, the deep cleansing of the environment during lockdown has strengthened the case for using clean technologies and making consumption resource intensive. The COVID crisis has also put a spotlight on the environmental practices of business. Plastic has made a roaring comeback as contamination aversion has taken priority over environmental sensitivities. The crash in oil prices has also made plastics a lot cheaper. The demand for disposable masks, protective suits is booming. Businesses have settled for the cheapest and the easiest material in the rush to meet this demand. Businesses have to be conscious of their responsibility to the environment in order to avoid health calamities in the future. As the pandemic continues, one seriously needs to consider how the world will be once it is over. What will the new normal be? Will we be going back to the office every single day? On a humorous note, how many of us spouses will believe that we are going actually to work? How will work from home impact people in the transport, restaurant, real estate sectors? How much of the planned real estate will be really required? Will people still travel long distances and across borders for work? There's a lot in the air, and we cannot know where everything will settle once this pandemic eventually subsides or is subdued. Which brings to mind the kind of world we want to leave for our children. So many of my friends have remarked that the skies look blue again. like they did when we were young, and a few circulated pictures on WhatsApp of clean streams and of the Himalayas from tens of miles away. Birds also seem to have returned. It's so beautiful to wake up in the morning to birdsong rather than the sound of traffic. I believe every generation should leave the world a better place for our next generation. And we should make all our efforts to support clean technologies once business starts moving again. Now that we have the wherewithal, we must make the right selections to ensure that nature too can recover, rather than trying for short-term but easy, rather than trying for easy but short-term monetary gains. Here too, there is an opportunity for a principle or ethical choice to be made. In my case, this lockdown has led to an introspection on the life I have lived and what to do about the future. It has shown me what I need to survive and given me an idea of what real happiness could mean. Actually, the only thing I really miss is being close to my son, who has decided to continue running all our overseas businesses from London, where he and his team are based. I must accept that my child has grown to become a leader in his own right. Has brought home the fact that my happiness and health is dependent on that of the community, and that to become rich in the face of disease and hunger is of no use. My father would often say one cannot have a skyscraper in a slum. We must think in terms of the social whole, of what is best for the community, of the common or public good. Each of us has to stop doing what is best only for ourselves. I hope that at the end of this pandemic, there would be a shift towards minimalism as a lifestyle, and the competition to claim status through pomp and possessions will become less severe. As managers, each one of us is a role model, not only to our subordinates, but to society at large. People almost worship successful managers and want to imitate them. They tell their children these are ideals to be emulated. There's so many examples of how people have grown large businesses while following their consciences. Companies like Infosys and Wipro almost immediately come to mind. I have no hesitation in saying the role model for me has been Mr. Azim Premji, who grew an edible oil business into one of his largest and most admired tech companies. To me, what he's doing now is even more spectacular to ensure that the next generation of fellow citizens has a far better future. Finally, I agree with the saying that a true measure of one's worth must include all the benefits that others have received from his or her success. Like respect, success, wealth, and power are to be earned and not to be demanded. So take care and stay safe. I hope that whenever the country opens up for travel again, I shall have the privilege of meeting you in Chennai. Thank you once again for the invitation to be chief guest at your awards function. And I hope that and giving me the honor to address all of you. I hope my talk has been useful, and I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kirloskar. It's been a fascinating, thought-provoking, insightful address. MMA has been privileged to confer the award of MMA Amalgamation Business Leadership Award in year. So, sorry for reminding us, we really missed it out. Mr. S.L. Kirloskar received the award, and he made the award proud in the year 1981. We are indeed privileged and honored to have you with us today. And we have fond memories, all the pictures really on our gallery in respect of the award to Mr. S.L. Kirloskar. And your thought-provoking address is set the tone. We have got another 10 minutes since you agreed to take some questions. The number of questions that come from Facebook, YouTube, as well as the chat box, which you can see yourself. And we have more than 1,500 viewers watching this program live on YouTube and Facebook. The first question has come from Florence McDonald. She says, change is no more a constant, but disruption in decision-making is. What's your view on this?
Change is not a constant, but disruption
and decision making is become. But disruption decision making is constant.
Yes, but that's I think saying the same thing, right? Change is the only constant, and I think we have to be ready for change. I mean, I remember being told I think a few weeks before graduation how quickly I would become obsolete if I didn't continue to keep on learning. And, I think the world and society throws so many things at us. At the same time, so many people are trying to improve the world around us. And those of us who are in companies have to face competition and have to make ourselves better. And when we make ourselves better, I think we provide better solutions to everyone else. And hopefully our competitors have to change along with us. So there is, this is something that has been going on for millennia. And as humans, we have grown. Our forefathers have faced it, and we have to face it, and we have to prepare our children for it.
Thank you so much, sir. We have distinguished past presidents and some of our committee members are there. If any one of you have a question, please raise your hands, Mr. Balraman or Mr. Ram or Ravi. Yes, Mr. Balraman. Please go ahead, Mr. Balraman. Mr. Balraman is a former MD of Funds and also past president. Over to you, Mr. Balraman.
Sanjay, what an excellent speech. This will stay in my memory forever. I have a question. Why should All India Management Association not take the initiative of launching an annual survey of the best, most prestigious corporate brand based on ethics and corporate governance? This can be done on India-wide survey.
I think I shall put it before the Director General. As you know, we are all people who come in every year, and our boss is Ms. Rekha Sethi. We will put it before the committee if you so desire, or if she so desires, and see how to take it forward. But I noticed that Rekha has unmuted herself, so I'll let her answer the question.
No, it's a great idea. I would certainly love to get more thoughts from you, maybe a direction note on what IMA could do in this area, and who could be the key CEOs and personnel who can support IMA in this in terms of identifying what should be the qualities of such a bank.
Yes, from MMA, we'll give this. Yeah. I think it is time that India starts building, globally prestigious corporate brands. It's important for our business, for the value of our business, for the value of our products and services.
We actually do have a brand award which Mr. Srinivasan, who was a past president of MMA and IMA, has actually established, which measures the the financial ability of a brand, so to say.
This one is
perhaps this one could be, this focus could be different.
Yeah, this one is it's for corporate ethics and corporate governance.
Thank you.
I think we can certainly look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Balraman. We also have a couple of other past presidents. I see Mr. Ranganath, I see Mr. Swami. In case you have any questions, please come on. In the meanwhile, I'll go to the public. There are so many questions that come. There are two questions from Mr. Chola and Mr. Lalit. They want to know what is the future of e-vehicles, what's happening with the present pandemic. They also want to know, with the industry 4.0 reduce the workforce number over the years, how will the young educated people get the job? And with the pandemic as such, people lose the job. What's your view on this, sir?
I don't think I'm qualified to answer the first question, because my cousin Vikram, who is vice chairman of Toyota Kirloskar Motors, could possibly answer this question far better than I could. So that is one. The second question was, could you please repeat that again?
The second question is, Industry 4.0 reduce the workforce numbers over the years. How will the young educated people get the job, especially in the present pandemic situation, as such people lose the jobs?
This is a fear that all of us have always had, that when new technology comes in, the number of jobs will reduce. But I think educated and skilled people will always have the opportunity to get jobs in such time. And I think all through history, basically, the number of jobs, more and more jobs have been created as technology has moved further ahead. I believe that Industry 4.0 will also create far more jobs going forward. There are applications that we cannot even imagine now. For skilled people, there would be a lot of jobs in AI and all the other new technologies that are coming up. And I think even otherwise, if you see what's happening with SpaceX, and just yesterday we had a session with the former head of ISRO, and the opportunities that are coming up that are going to be enabled by these new technologies. I think as technologies develop, more and more vistas and more opportunities develop as well.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay.
I would like to take a question which I can see over here. It's from Mr. Suresh Krishnamurthy to everyone.
Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Suresh.
He says,
be brief, sir. Yes.
I will read out his question. He says, ethics is inversely related to growth. Do you agree? So I think this is a wonderful question. And I believe that I saw this and I said, while there would be questions coming from past presidents, this is something that I should answer. I described what had happened with my own company. And we took a chance and we took a decision that we would no longer be in a business that where we could not meet requirements of our customers. And we decided that we would concentrate on another course of our business. And I'm very happy to tell you that, yes, like I said, turnover stagnated, it dipped, but it has moved up with the products that our company has developed at more than 10 to 15%, which, in the current startup era may not look very good, but for a 130-year-old organization, these numbers have grown up as a percentage of turnover. And that business by itself has grown up. I mean, that's the way the company grew. But if I look at the way some of those businesses grew, they grew in high double-digit numbers. As soon as we concentrated, as soon as we put our stress on doing what we love doing, this is the rate of growth that a market which can be considered as stable or whatever gave us. So there are opportunities. You just have to look at them and you just have to grab them.
So much, sir. Great, sir.
Mr. Krishna's question, Krishnamurthy's question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. As you said, the trust is like a fresh air in the room, and there's no air in the room, you're not alive. So I think we have to, that's what I think we have to guard your trust as if your life depends on that. In fact, Lalit, we also want to tell you, you asked about Industry 4.0. Today, the cover story of MMA Business Mandate is Industry 4.0. The lovely article by Mr. Chandramouli. You must read. He's got many answers for the question what you asked. Actually. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of questions that come. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we totally run out of time because we have to go for the business session of the MMA AGM immediately after this. And thank you, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, for taking the questions and patiently answering. And your not only your response to the questions have been thought-provoking, and it will kindle the thought process of many. And I also want to request you, immediately after this, we have the business session. If you have time and you want to join us, it will be a great privilege and honor for us. You can see the MMA's achievements, what has been done over a period of 1 year. You are there. So now let's move on and as a token of our gratitude, I request Mr. Ram Venkatramani's what you said. As a token of our gratitude, MMA has made arrangements on your behalf for 100 N95 masks. And to be given away to the needy. Indeed, obliged, sir, we have done it on your behalf because the MMA committee thinking is what the rich man, they think N95, every poor man should have. So we are procuring as many N95 masks as possible because that's the one which protects the person who is wearing as well as the person who is on the other side. So on your behalf, as an appreciation of your thing, we have presented the 100 masks which you are giving to the needy. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you indeed, sir. I now request Ravichandran Purushothaman, Senior Vice President of Madras Management Association and President of Danfoss Industries Limited, to deliver the word of thanks. Over to Mr. Ravichandran Purushothaman, please.
Yeah, thank you, Group Captain. Mr. Kirloskar, Mr. Ram Venkatramani, the committee members, members who are on the call. It's indeed a great privilege for me to deliver the formal vote of thanks during the 64th AGM of MMA, which is for the first time hosted online. I'm extremely happy to be part of this AGM. Firstly, I would like to thank Ms. Padmaja for rendering the excellent online invocation.
Excuse me, can you please mute whoever is talking? Sorry, Mr. Ravi. Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Our distinguished chief guest, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, President IMA, Chairman, Managing Director, Kirloskar Brothers, for sparing his valuable time to be here this evening amongst us and deliver this excellent, inspirational message to all of us. For me, it was extremely inspiring and thought-provoking. And I think what you said this evening, rings a lot of bell. And I think it will, as Mr. Balraman said, it would, linger in our thoughts. And how do we really carry this forward from one generation to the other? I think you kind of demonstrated that in your own family business, and you have transformed your own business to a global enterprise. So I think we are extremely thankful for you to share this inspiring and thought-provoking message to all of us this evening. I'm also very thankful to you for your excellent support as the president of IMA to MMA, because I think, MMA kind of institutions spread across the country are really the ones who are creating a lot of impact on the bottom of the pyramid, in my view. And thank you for that excellent support. I think I would also like to thank Mr. Ram Venkatramani, President MMA, members of the management committee. Thanks to the large number of members who have joined us this evening. And finally, I would like to also, thank the MMA Secretariat. There is one person who has really adjusted to the new normal ahead of many others in the world. It is our group captain, and his secretariat. He has done an extremely remarkable thing this evening, effectively coordinating this AGM online. It's been a grand success in my view. And I would also like to compliment the entire staff in MMA, the secretariat. They have been our true Corona warriors, really living up to every day and running this whole events. As Mr. Ram Venkatramani said, from the 25th of March, probably the last 100 days, they've done a remarkable and outstanding work. And not only that, I think they have really moved digital. This is an outstanding achievement. The magazine Business Mandate, which has embedded videos and more functionality, which probably has never been done I have not seen this kind of transformation overnight by any secretariat. I've been working with CII and many other institutions, but I can tell you this is truly remarkable and very inspirational what Group Captain, you and your secretariat have delivered. A big, big thank you to all. I would also like to thank all the members who have been joining on the online quiz, because this has been something which Group Captain has kind of occupied quite a lot of members and students across the spectrum of Tamil Nadu during the lockdown. So finally, I would like to thank all the participants this evening who have watching this program live through Zoom, MMA webinars on the YouTube and Facebook. And thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ravi, for your kind words. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kirloskar, for sparing your time. Thank you, Reka City, from joining from IMA. Your joining is also a great inspiration for us. Thank you all the viewers who are joining the open session this year of the MMA AGM. And we have come to the end of the open session. And now at 7 o'clock sharp, as planned, it's time for the business session. I also want to thank ladies and gentlemen, kindly settle down, and we are commencing the business session straight away. And the 64th MMA online annual general meeting members already logged in are requested to stay on Zoom. Other members who wish to participate in the business session may please kindly log in to Zoom or the webinar so that you can watch, because the MMA business session is not taken live on YouTube and Facebook. And please stay on, and we'll be starting the business session right away. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, Reka City. With the President Ram Venkatramani, with your approval, shall we go ahead and start the business session of the MMA Annual General Body Meeting, sir? Mr. Ram? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Mr. Kirloskar. That was really inspirational.